Welcome to One Detroit. I'm Jim Ketai. I'm the managing partner of Bedrock Real Estate Services, and I'm here today with some great and exciting news. Literally, probably within the last hour, we signed the papers to close on the acquisition of this beautiful building, One Detroit Center. So we're really excited about this. This adds to our portfolio. This building is a 43-story, 1 million square foot building. We also acquired the parking garage next door, which is over 2,000 parking spaces. And we happen to own the parking garage next to it, so we've got lots of parking available for this building. And we're really, really pleased to be here today. We think that this building adds to the skyline. We're just so happy to be a part of it. In the spring, there's a new restaurant coming that's going to be on this end of the building here, and we've got some renderings hung up somewhere around here that'll show you Townhouse Restaurant, and it's going to add another exciting, vibrant restaurant to the downtown Detroit, list of restaurants, which, as you know, are growing each day. So we're really excited about that. We feel fortunate that we're now able to own and manage this building along with the rest of our portfolio, which is now, believe it or not, over 70 properties, which we've acquired in the last 4 years, and we're now over 11 million square feet. So we're pretty proud about that, and we hope that it keeps growing. So with that, we got some more exciting news for you today, and it's my extreme pleasure to welcome my partner, Dan Gilbert, to come up and continue on with some great news. Dan?
Thank you. We're a little bit late. I apologize for that. We were on the elevator all together with the mayor and a gentleman you'll meet in a minute, and Jim Keita, and I said, if this elevator got stuck, I'm wondering if this whole deal will close or not. Luckily, the elevator did not get stuck. But this is another exciting day here in Detroit. As the days go on, things continue to get more and more exciting. As Jim just told you, we think if the check cleared, Jim, we'll check that out. We think that we acquired this building within the last few minutes. Obviously, one of the landmark buildings in downtown Detroit, if not all of the Midwest, and we're very, very proud to have the opportunity to own this property here. Before we get going here, I'd like to just thank a few people at Bedrock who worked very, very hard. This deal came about fairly quickly, much quicker than a lot of the other deals that we've been able to and fortunate enough to be part of. And they worked very hard. I think they were up all last night to make sure this thing closed on time. And that's Jim Ketai. Jim has just done an incredible job leading everything. Steve Bentley, there you are, Steve. No, he did not. It's not Marty McFly from Back to the Future. Sam Hamburger, Howard Luckoff, our outside counsel. It's true you guys are around here somewhere. Matt Cullen is always involved to some degree, and Dan Mullen. Just did an incredible job. So we're here to talk about the urban core a little bit, and the reason I'm going to talk about that in a general sense is because there's a company who recently had to make a very big decision. And, when you make a decision about whether you come to an urban core or not, it's not just a spreadsheet decision. You can't just look at a spreadsheet and say, this building's lower price than this building, or this area is lower price than another area. You have to look at things like, what area is going to create the opportunity and the environment for innovation, creativity, attracting the best possible talent. What area is going to have a mass transportation component to it, like M1. What area is going to have fiber that is going to be able to move their data as quick as possible. And as we all know, that is available here now in downtown Detroit. The company that had to make this decision here, as you probably know by now, although I have to admit it was one of the best kept secrets. Where's that Kirk guy from Cranes? There he is. We're going to find the leak, I promise you. Okay? I don't know how you didn't get this till today, but anyway, this is one of the best kept secrets since our involvement here in Detroit, and the fact that Ally, you guys all know who Ally is, who was headquartered here in the Renaissance Center, had a big decision to make. And their decision was, where are they going to go? Are they going to go to the suburbs? Are they going to go in Detroit? If they're going to go to Detroit or the suburbs, which building are they going to go to? I'll tell you, it was interesting because you're starting to see now, not just the smaller or medium-sized companies starting to think in these terms, but you're starting to see the larger companies think in these terms. And the terms I'm talking about are, where are they going to attract the young millennials who are coming out, who want to be in urban cores? Where are they going to get the best possible people? Where are they going to create an environment that has energy to it, that has activity, that has connectivity, that has collaboration, that has opportunities? And I think it's undisputed that they're all pretty much determining, or most of them are determining, that you're going to get that kind of environment in an urban core. And I think one of the most exciting urban cores, obviously, is here in downtown Detroit. And every day it gets more and more exciting. And so there's a gentleman who will be up here in a minute who is the new CEO of Ally, just took over in February. And Ally is a Fortune 500 company. And it's been an incredible experience working with him and his people, who have just been probably the best people we've just ever dealt with in a short period of time to get a deal done of this nature. And they've just been outstanding. I mean, if you don't own that stock, you may want to buy it now. But they really impressed us at all levels. And this thing was this was a race. This was a sprint to get to where we needed to go. And so, we had this building under contract, I don't know, 6-8 weeks ago, and there was a little bit of space left in it. And we knew, just from reading the papers like everybody else, that Ally was considering a move. And when we contacted JB, Jeff Brown, known as JB, who is the CEO, they were very, very, very close. And I mean, like, pen and paper close to signing and going elsewhere outside of the city. And although it was fortunate they were staying in the region, that was a little bit disheartening to us. And so we put on an all-court press, and we worked with the city, who has been tremendous, Mayor Duggan and Tom Luan, and we worked with Ally and Bedrock and maybe some other folks to really just try to make this happen. We had the building under contract. We had the space here in this building. They had a need. I think deep down they wanted to stay in downtown Detroit for the reasons I just mentioned, and lo and behold, we're here. Now, on the elevator ride, Jim informed me we may have signed the lease before we own the building, which could be a little bit of a problem. So I'm hoping that by the time this is over, that we take care of that. A couple other things I just want to say, because there's a little bit of a few misnomers here about downtown Detroit and our involvement in the occupancy. Of the large-scale buildings that we've been fortunate enough to purchase and acquire, and I'll list them: First National, Chase, One Woodward, Chrysler House, Federal Reserve, the CompuWare building. Outside, let's put this building aside for a minute. Those are now 98.8 or 99, if you want to round up, 99% occupied. This building, after today, after this announcement, will be 100% occupied, so it's going to lift the average up a little bit. And there's 4.5 million square feet in these larger buildings that we've acquired. Quicken Loans and its family of companies only occupies 35% of that space. And there's a lot of sort of misinformation. People think that we're really occupying a huge percentage of it. After today, it's only 35%. Because you've got companies now, like, and I was talking earlier, major big companies, Meridian, Fifth Third Bank, which will be across the street, Quicken Loans, you have Blue Cross, of course, that moved. These are companies just in the last few years who have all made a decision outside of a spreadsheet. I mean, I'm not going to say that companies are willing to pay, $10 more a square foot to be in downtown Detroit, but let's face it, the parking's a little bit more, and the per square foot is a little bit more. But what you get for that, and what your people get for that, dwarf these relative pennies of cost, because you're moving into an exciting, vibrant, energized culture and place where things happen. Things happen, a lot of things, a lot of great things. And this doesn't include even the smaller high-tech companies that have moved in and we're talking about moving in, or the retailers. So I've talked long enough. Without further ado, I'm very proud to have just met JB from Ally. Companies on a roll. It's one of his first major decisions, and I'm proud to say that you'll see what these buildings look like here in a second with their name on it, and he'll tell you about that. JB from Ally, everybody.
got another picture over there. Well, thanks, Dan, and good afternoon, everyone. I want to start by congratulating Jim Ketai, Dan Gilbert, and the entire Bedrock team on the acquisition of another fantastic building. You're obviously making huge strides in restoring the economic and cultural viability of the downtown Detroit area. And what I'd say in working with you, Dan, and your team wasn't a real estate management company, but rather a group of incredibly passionate professionals that are focused on promoting, developing, and growing the health in this city. They were an incredible bunch to work with. I thank you for all your efforts. It's been a great process. I also thank my Ally teammates that made today possible. It has been a pretty quick process, recognizing I did get into this chair on February 2nd, and this was one of the first major decisions that we had to go out and make. But these guys made it happen, my guys made it happen, and thank you very much for that. You're obviously, we've all been supported by the wonderful efforts of Mayor Duggan. You and your staff have been really a perfect example of partners that when working with the government and the business communities can come together for the greater good of the city. We're very proud to establish a relationship and look forward to growing that in the future. Obviously, One Detroit Center is a landmark building with a very distinctive presence in the Detroit skyline and will be a wonderful addition to the Bedrock family. It's not been a secret, as Dan mentioned, that Ally was out exploring real estate options in the downtown Detroit and other surrounding areas. Ally is basically, we're currently spread throughout the southeast Michigan area in 5 different locations. Many of our leases were coming due, which really afforded us the opportunity to go out and explore new real estate. As the new CEO of Ally, I really believed one of the critical ingredients to the health and culture of our company was having our employee base together, where employees could actually physically work together, partner together, and foster a more collaborative and innovative environment. I wanted to find a space with my teammates where they could all feel the energy of the business itself by being together, and also the energy of the community. And again, something that I think Dan, the mayor, and the teammates are really driving here in Detroit. When we started the exploration on real estate, this building, this facility, unfortunately wasn't even on our consideration list. But the Bedrock team, knowing the building would be coming available, moved quickly to work with Ally. They saw a perfect marriage in bringing Ally into this relationship. And today, I could not be more excited to announce that coming next spring, One Detroit Center will now become Ally Detroit Center, our new Michigan headquarters, and will house all of our 1,500 employees and contractors in this area. Thank you. We are making over a 12-year commitment to this wonderful location, but beyond that, we're making a commitment to be partners in contributing to the efforts to grow the downtown Detroit area. This facility really checked all the boxes for us. Obviously, it could accommodate our 1,500 employees and contractors, including the existing team in downtown Detroit. But beyond that, we're bringing between 600, 700, 800 of our other employees will now come inside of this city, and that enables us to remain true to our Detroit roots. It's also obviously a distinctive building. It's going to bear the Ally name, and it's really in the heart of all these tremendous revitalization efforts that we've talked about that Dan and the mayor are creating. So we are just incredibly proud. I want to close just again by commending the mayor, Dan, Jim, and the Bedrock team for the commitment they've shown to this city and the vitality that all of you are restoring. You know, you're restoring not just an important city in Michigan, but an important city with tremendous history in the United States, and we are beyond proud to be associated with that. You know, it was a great win for all of us here. It's not often you can say that in business, but this is one where really everyone wins, and I'm very proud to announce the Ally Detroit Center. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the mayor for a few remarks.
Well, thank you, JB. It's another great day for Detroit, and in Detroit, we need to start getting used to success because this is going to keep happening. For so many years, bad news would come and we'd act like there's nothing we can do about it. but there's a different attitude and a different level of cooperation. And this couldn't be a more remarkable example. Last summer, I heard rumors that Ally was looking to move the 700 employees they had in the Renaissance Center out to the suburbs, and so I phoned their CEO, Mike Carpenter, and I said, I want to have a conversation about this. And he said, you know, we're separate from GM now, we're probably going to leave the Renaissance Center, but don't worry, we're really looking to stay someplace else downtown. I said, okay, if that changes, I'd like the opportunity to come in and present. And he says, okay, if it changes, I'll call you. Well, in late January, there's a media report that says Ally is about to move to the suburbs. And so I call Mr. Carpenter back on January 28th. And I say to him, I know this media report can't be right. And he says, well, actually, our plans have changed. We decided not just to look at 700 people, but 1,500 people, because it made sense to consolidate all of our operations. And when we started looking at 1,500 people, it knocked out all the buildings. Our team has spent 6 months. There's no real estate option in Detroit. We've basically made the decision to go to the suburbs. And I said, you know, I really would like the chance that you promised me before to come in and present. He said, well, what do you think is going to be different? I said, because you're going to get a community presentation, not something from the real estate agents. And it became a pretty tense conversation. I finally said, your company has been in this city nearly 100 years. You can't give me 2 weeks to do a presentation? At which point he said, I'd have to be a real jerk not to give you 2 weeks. I said, that's all I want. I said, there'll be no publicity, there'll be no leaks. We'll bring you a business plan. I hung up the phone and I called Dan Gilbert, as you can imagine. I said, Dan, we got 2 weeks. And Dan says, 1,500 people would be one of the largest business relocations in Detroit in 20 years. He says, and there's a building that I'm talking to, but I don't have it nailed down. You're telling me that I got to figure out how to provide a proposal for 1,500 people in a building I don't own in under 2 weeks? And I said, yeah. Dan says, no problem. And then he called Matt and Jim. And so we started to go to work on this, and then 5 days later, my new best friend, Mike Carpenter, announces he's resigning as the CEO of Ally. I'm like, oh my God, now where are we? But the company's very responsive. They called up and said, we want you to know the company's going to honor its commitment. And I said, really? And they said, yeah, you got 9 more days. But this is the thing. When you have Dan Gilbert and Matt Cullen and Jim Kite and the team on your side, 9 days is an eternity. And what we had to put together was simple. We made a promise to Ally there was going to be no political pressure, no public pressure. It was going to be a business decision. And we had 2 issues. One is we had an empty office building in the suburbs, and compared to a building here in the middle of a hot real estate market, we knew the rent was going to be more expensive, and they had free parking in the suburbs versus the parking you're going to have to pay for. And so between us and Bedrock, the DDA and the city of Bedrock, we had to put together a competitive proposal. And I can't say enough about Dan and Jim and Matt and the team. Tom Lawand, what he did, this is the reason why I recruited him from the private sector, was these kinds of deals, along with Rod Miller and John Hill and Gary Brown, our parking person, who said, here's what we can do. We can afford to provide Ally with 550 parking spaces from our facilities, or put up $150 for those 550 spaces for them to purchase someplace else. What we're going to make from the income tax revenues will exceed that. We'll buy it, we'll pay it out of DDA funds, economic development funds, from the authority. The Bedrock team put together a competitive proposal, and Dan personally led the charge in the lobbying effort, and I think Ally came to see the same thing Fifth Third Bank came to see, which is there are enormous business opportunities being located in the city of Detroit today. And so this is going to be a very special thing for the city. Instead of losing 700 jobs, which it looked like we did just 60 days ago, we're actually having headquarters where they're moving 800 in, and we'll have 1,500 total. And when Ally celebrates their 100th anniversary as a company, I'm very proud to say it'll be right here in the city of Detroit. So JB, thank you and congratulations.
I'll just conclude it with one or two other things. First of all, it's never good to be like a speaker when you have like two great speakers after you. You can almost forget about it, especially the mayor. Man, you're unreal. No notes, nothing. And the second thing is that just for those of you who are looking at the numbers and incentives, this is an overall a $200 million plus deal. So when you look at the $55 million of capital, it's actually going to go into the building, into their space, taking 13 floors here, 321,000 square feet for 1,500 people, and then you add up the rents over a lease, it'll be almost 13 years long. You're over $200 million. And you know, for the city to step up, there's about 1,550 spots that were needed, that they needed in their lease, and we were able to provide over 1,000 of those, and the city came through for 500, and you know, nothing else beyond that, because you know what, the market right now is where you want to be in downtown Detroit, and people are realizing it, and the activity and action is going to continue to grow as we go from here. So I want to just thank the mayor again, his people, Tom Luan, Joan Burrell. Where are you, Joan? I know you didn't want me to mention your name. I'm mentioning it anyway. Joan works for JB here at Ally and is just outstanding, and her whole team is outstanding. And I want to thank Jim and everybody on our team and everybody for coming today. So I think is there just like a Q&A later type of thing? Okay. That's it. Thank you all.